Hello everyone, welcome to the review of Unit 9, A Podcaster Under Fire. So in the previous section I talked about Joe Rogan, who is in charge of the Joe Rogan podcast, and it's the #1 podcast in America, and he talks about anything and everything, fairly much. And he has a lot of questionable and interesting and good and experts come onto the show, and they talk about many things, and recently he's talked a lot more about the pandemic situation and provided a lot of his perspective on the pandemic and medical things, and it's caused some controversy. So much so that the most recent controversy was some big profile name musicians and artists wanted to remove Joe Rogan from Spotify, or they would remove all their music. That's kind of like a threat. Well, they didn't remove Joe Rogan, and so it caused some issues, and artists left Spotify because they said he was offering just like unfiltered information. But to kind of combat this or make people happy, he said he would promise to give more unbiased information regarding the pandemic, regarding health, and that kind of situation. But then shortly after that, a couple of weeks, there was this video compilation released of him using the N-word, which I'm not going to say it nor explain it much, but in American context, that is a very vulgar, very negative word to speak. Unbiased.
Unbiased.
Compilation.
Compilation.
Especially with Joe Rogan being white, it's also extra offensive and a no-no. It's blank. And well, he got in a lot of hot water because of that, and even though he didn't use it to target somebody or say it to somebody, he was talking about the word, using it in a strange way that still wasn't acceptable by many people. And he did release a video apology, explaining why he was sorry, how he used it, but some people thought it was a little too weak or too late of a kind of apology for his actions. And again, that was another push to kind of get him canceled, or quit off of the Spotify podcast system. And some people have misquoted him, and even recently Donald Trump released a quote about the situation, saying he should have apologized more. And that kind of thing coming from Trump is telling, because he often spoke bluntly.
Yes, he does speak bluntly.
Right. But I wanted to move on to the idea of freedom of speech, because Joe Rogan says he's all about that. Freedom of speech is important, we can agree on that, but should sharing either inaccurate, incomplete medical information, should it be allowed? Do you think it should come at a cost or some restraints to it?
I think that's a really difficult issue. Inaccurate medical information is obviously very dangerous. It depends on what kind of information it is, but it could conceivably kill somebody or not protect somebody when they should be protected. But on the other hand, it's kind of a slippery slope.
It is.
Like when you say that this kind of thing is bad to say, then some other thing that you disagree with in some way you could also try to stop people from saying that. So I think it's a really difficult. I want in my heart to say yes, you shouldn't be allowed to say inaccurate, particularly medical information. But it's really how far do you go, and what is alternative medicine inaccurate, and who decides whether it's inaccurate or not? There's lots of. It's really hard. How about you?
I do agree. This is one of the more difficult questions and controversial focuses. Now, I have to say, I think there are some appropriate measures in place. Like if Joe Rogan were telling people, you should drink bleach to help. It saves from coronavirus. Or if you take this, it helps. He never verbally ever said those things. Now, he was totally against the bleach idea, which was stupid.
That's good. That's good.
Right. But some of the more controversial treatments or methods of recovery, he talked with people who maybe researched that, but maybe were not knowledgeable in the other areas. So he did have people from both sides talk about it, and he himself and his experience just talked about his experience.
Right.
So I don't think, he should be removed because of that. Now, I don't agree with everything he says. So it's kind of like as long as he's not putting people in danger by telling them to do something dangerous. It's kind of like in America, we do say you have freedom of speech, but you can't scream fire, cause a panic, and then not face a consequence. There's consequences to things.
Right.
You can't just shout bomb on a plane. There are big consequences to certain freedom of speech. Now, again, when it comes to online podcasts and sharing media on Facebook and Twitter, etc., those private companies have their own rules. So that's a whole different can of worms. We're not going to get into.
No.
But just be careful what you say. Try to speak, politely and respectfully.
And careful who you listen to.
That as well, right? Not every podcast is knowledgeable. Even Joe Rogan says he's not. So. But that's it for the review of this section, and we'll see you on the next one.